Hello everybody, welcome back on iKeysRacing. Marco from Monza saying hello and absolutely thank you very much for subscribing and for pushing the like button to our videos. Our so far small community of petrol heads and race enthusiasts is growing day by day, and thank you very much both for the recent subscribers that arrived in this community, plus obviously the previous one already subscribed. We are growing together day by day. We passed the 50 subscribers in a couple of days ago. We are already over above 60 now, so really thank you very much. You've been very kind for pushing the like button and for pushing the subscription channel. Obviously this is a community. I'm just the face behind the camera, as I'm used to say very often, and the only thing that I want really absolutely with the maximum fairness I have is grow together, build up a community of petrol heads, race enthusiasts and so on, and when we will reach that level that thankfully makes profitable a channel, we will use few monies, huge monies, whatever. They will become our, let's say, tool to be sure to make something special for who lives less better than us. But that being said, welcome back on iKeysRacing. Here we are today with the Formula 1 theme, because for the episode number 3 I wanted to go back to the era number 3. It's the third main change that happened to Formula 1 as a motorsport, and maybe 1968 is the year where at the end the route for what is Formula 1 nowadays has been, I would say, implanted definitely, and nothing has been like it was before. I say this because technically we have seen some changes. We have seen the fat cigars coming after World War II, material coming from the period of the 30s, of the 40s, in some way rearranged to be a F1 type car. And as you have seen, maybe following the first video, we did see some Formula 1s made as a certain type of cars at the beginning of the 50s. Then for the year 52 and 53 they were Formula 2 cars, but participating in the Formula 1 championship, but the set of rules was not anymore, let's say, Formula 1 specific like we know it today. Then we have seen in the mid of the 50s the dominating Mercedes basically bringing a sports car more than a Formula 1 car, so with a lot of downforce generated for the shape of the body of the Mercedes, and all the others were running with an open wheel car. I mean, it was absolutely more a mess from a rulebook point of view and more than a concession, if I can say so, to Mercedes, just to regain a bit of fame and respect after the Second World War. Then we arrived to the end of the 50s, where the fat cigars are starting to see the first dramatic change from a technological point of view. The engine was not mounted anymore at the front side of the car, but was put at the back of the driver, in the rear side, in the rear axle of the car. And that was a technological, I would say almost a magic thing did that moved and changed forever the Formula type we know nowadays. And from that onwards, nothing has changed. I mean, yes, the shape, the technology, the materials, yes, but technically a Formula 1 still remains a tube with a rear engine mounted and a rear axle providing torque and power to move the car. But in 1968, as you can see also on the screen, there is a famous Lotus that had wings, and 1968 was basically the first year where Formula 1 adopted, sooner some, later some others, the technology of using the wing of an airplane mounted at the opposite to generate downforce to push the car on the ground and so to be quicker while cornering. Obviously, as always for Formula 1, it was not a technology discovered because Formula 1, simply it was the application of a concept already present in aviation, obviously. But 1 year before, more or less, the Chaparral team, I don't know the right pronunciation, did bring on their car the first wing, and from then onwards every race car had wings. So after 1 year also Formula 1 finally adopted technology named wings. That was embarrassing at the beginning, I would say. Tragic crashes, bad crashes, a sort of pioneering attitude to understand how to cope with these new wings, and honestly maybe the toll paid at the beginning was quite dramatic, I would say. That was the first, let's say, key point for 1968. And if you know the game Grand Prix Legends, coming from Papyrus at the end of the 90s, 97 and 98 was the year of the publication, you may remember that the season originally presented in vanilla version of the game was the 1967. Why? There is, I think, a double reason. The first one, they were all cars not wearing, let's say, wings. So the technology of Formula 1 was still, yes, rear engine, a tube, refined, fine-tuned, whatever you want, was not anymore a fat cigar, but was more, let's say, a slim cigar coming from the 50s, if we made a comparison. Wings were, let's say, the first black line dividing the past with the present or the future. And so GP Legends, when it was designed, was not casually chosen to be the 1967 Formula 1 season, because it was everything basically before wings, but not only, also before sponsorship. Because in 1968, in the first race of the season, that was the South African Grand Prix at Kyalami venue, there was the Gaston team, and I try to show you the car as it was, because with F1 challenge you can basically have a time machine for Formula 1 if you like the type of motorsport. Gunston was the brand of cigarettes that paid to be present with their colors and their style on the body of this Brabham BT, participating in the Formula 1 season as a privateer. And despite being an old car coming from some years before from a technology point of view, given that the rising costs of Formula 1 and running a Formula 1 team were already crazy, more than, not like today, but they were already crazy. Starting from 68, there was the withdrawal of some companies that previously were funding the Formula 1 world. They were BP, Shell and Firestone, if I'm not wrong. They decided to be technical partner of some F1 teams, but not anymore funding with their money, with their investments, the Formula 1 Championship. Because the Formula 1 Championship was becoming, as Enzo Ferrari used to say, more a sport for garagists and privateers than a real ground where manufacturers could challenge themselves. That's why in the 60s and the 70s the World Sports Car Championship was so famous and so liked and attended by people more than Formula 1. I'm not joking, you can verify. I don't know, I did watching and looking for pictures coming from the 60s and the 70s, and you can see how full racetracks were when the World Sports Car Championship was running, compared to a decent attendance for Formula 1, but not at the level of the sports car. But anyway, to continue to run the Formula 1 seasons, many privateers had to, so many private teams and many works teams, as we are going to see, were starting to have the need to cover the cost, and without the help of BP, Shell and Firestone as funders of Formula 1, they had to start to give up with their national colors: British green, dark green for UK, blue for France, red for Italy, silver for Germany, and so on, allowing a sponsor to pay the bills, but giving back as a sort of you give me something, I give you something, all the possible space on the body of their race cars. So John Love was the first driver with a South African private team to bring this car, the 1st of January 1968, on the Kyalami racetrack, sponsored by a manufacturer, a producer of cigarettes. The same destiny, and this mod has been chosen specifically with all deliveries coming from the last race of that season, where everybody had wings or sponsorships or both. This tendency to accept to have something written on the body of the car because was anyway the need, was something also touching, as you have seen at the beginning, a very famous team, already world champion like Lotus of Colin Chapman was, world champion 63 and 65 with Jim Clark. And so that season was the transformation not only from a technical point of view adopting wings, but also adopting the sponsorship as a way to get basically money to race every summer. So I would start with this. So the first notion, let's say the technical side, the second notion to tell you the story of this season, the economical side of Formula 1. There are then some some pros and some cons. From a pro side, I would say Dan Garney, for the 7th or 8th race of the season, the Nürburgring Grand Prix, together with the Bell company, did bring on track the first full helmet ever seen for an open cockpit type of racing car. And that was in some way a revolution, because everybody racing still with the jet helmet and with just glasses, goggles, or just fireproof, let me say, cover for nose and mouth, but a complete integral helmet was not seen before the German Grand Prix. The other thing, the con side, is that was a season with the Grand Prix drivers losing their lives in a couple of months. So we can remember Jim Clark, that won the inaugural season 1st of January 1968 South African Grand Prix, and then died in the month of April during a Formula 2 held on a rainy day on the Hockenheim Ring. We have seen the loss of another Grand Prix driver losing his life was Mike Spence, that during the month of May was practicing for the Indy 500 and unluckily died 4 days after suffering a tremendous crash on the International Motor Speedway. And then at the French Grand Prix at Rouen, Georges Lesser unluckily died in a fireball that his car suffered after a crash. So was absolutely a tremendous year, and like Jackie Stewart used to say, if I count friends and colleagues at the start of my career, at the end of my career, I've been very lucky, because half of them, more than half of them, are not with us anymore. So really was a tragic year, and yes, wings technology maybe helped to have initially more crashes until the technology was managed properly, but was anyway really a tragic year that will be remembered forever as one of the worst season, not only for Grand Prix drivers but in general. Was a dangerous period for the performances of cars that were absolutely stunning. 3 liters engines, V8, V12, capable already of 400 brake horsepower, cars very light, materials like magnesium that was absolutely keen to catch fire easily, and so it was anyway maybe the end of the heroic period, if we like, and the start of the thinking behind safety. But I think I have finished my summary for this season, so now we can go on track and just leave the words to races. Again, thank you very much for being with me. I think that this episode will feature the first 6 races, and then the second episode, part 2, will feature the last 6 races of the season. Last but not least, on our iKeysRacing community page, still on YouTube, there is a set of 3 polls running. The IndyCar one maybe can be closed, the same for GT Legends, but the one regarding Formula 1 Challenge Valerio Bertolotti edition is still open, 50 and 50% for what I remember, to let you choose if you do prefer to go on with 10% race duration for each appointment, and so maybe have 6 races for each episode, and the more we advance, the more races will come, or enlarge the duration up to 20-25% for each race, have more episodes, and maybe get longer seasons with us. But I'll let you choose. For me is absolutely equal to have this current manner or the next one, and so I think that I can start the championship not before remembering Valerio Bertolotti and his incredible team of people on Facebook, on the website, etc., with the donation I did of another euro, symbolic euro, after completing the 1959 season. That was not a winning one for myself, but who cares, we have seen races, tracks, drivers, stories, etc. But as promised, every time we finish a season, the next episode will confirm the donation did to Valerio Bertolotti and his incredible effort to produce, design and maintain this, I would say, more almost encyclopedia to Formula 1, with all the cars, all the seasons, all the tracks, all the drivers, that you can freely download also on your computer. Just remember that nobody works for, let's say, a free commitment. I think that at least €1 of donation is mandatory to respect and to say thank you to Valerio Bertolotti and his group of geniuses behind F1 Challenge. So let's go on track. Now I will let talk just the road surface. See you in a second for the South African Grand Prix. South African Grand Prix that will kick in the season, and as done so far, we will have a 10% race duration but a 7 times tire usage and fuel usage, just to balance in some way the shortness of each race. South African Grand Prix that originally has seen Lotus dominating the field, with Jim Clark first and Graham Hill second. Then between the 1st of January 68 and the following race, that was the Spanish Grand Prix, there were 4 months of waiting, if I can say so. And while we accelerate the qualifying session, I just wanted to remember that in that period was normal, let's say, to have the first race of the season, yes, at the beginning of the year, but the 4 months of gap between the South African Grand Prix and the following one were 4 months dedicated to the Tasman series. That was between New Zealand and Australia, a way to take advantage of the good weather in the south part of the world, and so many drivers were paid to race there, or they were racing classic endurance races like Daytona, Targa Florio and so on, Sebring and so on. Obviously I would have been born there to do that kind of life, but as we know from the destiny unluckily waiving Jim Clark, those 4 months of inactivity did bring challenges, but also dangerous things, like for Jim Clark an F1 and F2 race, a non-championship race of Formula 2 category, finishing, dying unluckily against the trees of the Hockenheim ring on a rainy day. As said, Mike Spence suffering a tremendous series of injuries after the crash at Indianapolis, but unluckily was not uncommon to have this kind of situation. So yes, it was exciting to be a professional driver, but was also very dangerous regardless of the category you were racing in that particular moment. So with qualification finished, we have Jackie Hicks first with 1 minute 20 seconds, more or less similar to the real life. Joe Siffert, Bobby Unser, Dan Gurney, Johnny Servoz-Gavin and Jean-Pierre Beltois are the top 6 and the top 2 rows, because back then was not a double row car but a 3 unlined cars, and the pole sitter simply had the best ideal racing line. So we will start from the back, hopefully to build up our race, but let's go to see the warm-up and the race condition. That will be dry despite being very chilly, 12 degrees the ambient, 17 degrees the track temperature. Because these cars used to be very slippery and with the tendency to swing a lot, I'm not here to show entirely what is the car setup, but just bear in mind that is something very smooth at the front and very stiff at the rear, to be sure to reproduce at least the attitude of the cars of that period that were swinging with the rear end a lot, because there were not wings, and even when wings arrived, the initial period was not something highly forced with the counter steering attitude. We had to wait until the 80s, more or less. Well, I would say maybe the end of the 70s with the ground effect, before stopping to see cars sliding here and there. But to reproduce as much as possible in this virtual season, the rear end of the car has been put very, 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 very stiff and slippery. It is not like playing GP Legends, but it's a good compromise, I think. So let's go on track for the first race of the season. Okay, obviously I'm more a lemon than anything else on this track, but I will try to cope with my low level of driving, especially if they crash like this. Seven laps to go. Cold tires, Marco, remember, cold tires. Cold tires, Marco, remember, cold tires. What a lemon. Especially despite the 7 times fuel usage, the car is technically heavy. And I did choose to have a car setup with a lot of top speed, because being a lemon while cornering, at least I had the possibility to catch the others at the end of the main straight and then try to cope with them. Until the end of the lap, maybe. Trying to make the car slide like it was back then. Jackie Oliver, my teammate, has arrived behind. Oops. Dan Garney will be not removed from the start-finish line. Let's try to pass Joe Bonnier. Yes, maybe. Yes, before the main straight. Good. In front of us, Jim Clark, that was originally the winner of this race, with Lotus, obviously. But we will see him as a sort of tribute until the end of the season, having chosen this kind of mode with Jim Clark in, but you can choose to do whatever you want. Too wide, too wide, too wide. Yes, basically you don't have the oversteering caused by the too high power of the engine of those years reproduced here. But you can drive balancing the throttle and the brake pedal 7 seconds now from John Surtees, but with 2 laps to go, I don't think I'm going to score any point in this appointment. Unless someone else will retire in front. And approaching the last lap, a couple of meters. Another retirement, P14, 13 now. The race is over. Atwood X, Bobby Answer. I've lost the 5th, 6th and the 7th, then sorry, the 4th, the 5th and the 6th, then from 7th onwards Beltois, Rind, Gavin, Eamon, Clark and us. So not a bad result. I mean, I was more or less within the pace of the Lotuses, but not so close to the top. So we get BRM, Ferrari, BRM, McLaren in the top 6 spots. The first Gold Leaf Team Lotus Graham Hill and the normal British Green Team Lotus present in the first race of the season with Jim Clark 11th. Let's go to see Jackie Oliver, that was the other teammate, 17th. So nothing special, no points. Let's go to see who clinched points. So Atwood 9, 6, X, 4 for Bobby Answer, Rodriguez, Halm, McLaren, 3, 2, 1, like it was back then. Constructors, BRM 16 points, wow. Ferrari 6, McLaren 3. Second race of the season will be in Spain on the beautiful Jarama racetrack. That was a non-championship race the previous year, the 67, but starting from 68th has become an appointment very often seen in Formula 1 calendar. Was a race where, if I'm not wrong, Lotus did bring or wings or sponsorship. Now I will tell you in a second because my memory is very bad. And was a race that from January 68 has been held on the 12th of May. And while we skip the practice but we accelerate the qualifying session, here we are. I can tell you that, as said, many drivers competed in the Tasman series between the first and the second race of the Formula 1 season, and was something normal in the 60s. The only difference with Formula 1 was that instead of having 3 liters engines, they were at 2.5. I don't remember why, but was that type of technical choice. So we can remember that the first Spanish Grand Prix, I'm reading Wikipedia, nothing special, since 1954 was held at the brand new ultra-modern Jarama circuit just north of the Spanish capital city of Madrid, having held a non-championship race in 1967, which was won, needless to be said, by Jim Clark. Jackie Stewart had to miss this race due to a wrist injury. Chris Amon took pole position. In the race, Pedro Rodriguez took the lead from Frenchman Jean-Pierre Beltois, Chris Amon and Danny Hulme. The top 3 remained unchanged in the early laps, but on lap 12, Beltois took the lead in his Matra Fort, that was run by the Ken Tyrrell organization. As he did so, the Frenchman cars began smoking, and on lap 16 he dropped out, leaving Chris Amon, who had in the meantime overtaken Pedro Rodriguez, in the lead. For the next 30 laps, the New Zealander was ahead, while Rodriguez shadowed him until he lost control on lap 28 and crashed. This put Graham Hill into second place, with Danny Hulme third and John Surtees fourth. On lap 58, Chris Amon's fuel pump failed, and so Graham Hill took the lead and went on to win from Danny Hulme and his promising countryman Brian Redman in a Cooper BRM powered. So we can jump to qualification, where the destiny not allowed us to see Jim Clark scoring a pole position like he was used to be, with a record of pole positions until the arrival of Ayrton Senna. Then Jackie Stewart originally was not racing here, Jean-Pierre Beltois, Pierce Courage, Henry Pescarolo, Jackie Hicks, respectively, Lotus, Matra. Reg Parnell Racing was racing, I don't remember with what kind of car, sorry, I apologize. Another Matra, Ferrari. The next Lotus is, let's see, Jackie Oliver just 21st, and we will start last together with Vic Elford with our Gold Leaf Team Lotus. So let's jump the warm-up. Let's go to a race that will be under monsoon situation. Nice. And will be also the opportunity to see the rain effect of this game that is old 25 years, but believe me, had a wonderful rain effect, especially nowadays, that has been perfection, let's say, thanks to the work of many volunteers managing and keeping alive this game. Let's go to choose monsoon maybe. 8 laps, I embark for 10, so we can go on track. Race number 2. Wish me luck. I've never raced with a rainy oops, almost hit the barrier of the pit lane. This is the beautiful effect. And the higher the speed, the higher the level of spray. Caused by the cars in front of you. Moser passing me outside, and also a retirement. Oh, thunderstorm. What was that? A UFO. Come on. Whoa! Ah, they take the curb and they basically fly. Here we are. Jean-Pierre Beltois externally. P27, but so far from... Ooh, John Love. Touched with Lucien Bianchi. No, it was Pretorius, sorry. Joe Bonnier out. My goodness, if it is tough. I try to stay far from curbs, even if I do more strange racing lines, but as soon as you touch the curb, you lose the control. It's my turn to pass externally. But Bianchi, the uncle of Jules Bianchi, resists. Oops. Moser externally. He wins. Maybe we have a bit of speed. But oops. There was Widow rolling like a Taco Bell. No, sorry, a Taco Bell burrito. P19, half of the race gone, but very far from the leaders. The championship will be a matter of miracle at this point if these are the performances of the mod. was wondering when the rear red light has been mandatory in Formula 1, maybe in the 70s. After all the great effort made by Sir Jackie Stewart to make Formula 1 safer, I think. No! Ooh, what a hit! Four seconds from Scarfiotti, P11. Okay, maybe the rain has almost stopped. Not yet. Depend on the part of the track you are facing. With all the offline playing I do with this game, I must say it rains more often than in GTR2, Power and Glory, and many other games. Ooh, Bob Janssen retired, P10. And so I want to introduce some more real changeable condition for also all the other appointments. What is doing Scarfiotti? Oh, come on, this is a complete bug. Ah, retired, okay. P9. So I want, as I was saying, introduce more often the rain also in many other episodes we are facing with GTR2, Power and Glory and so on, because I've tried to tweak both GTR2 and Power and Glory with a weather generator, but without succession. I mean, if we use the computer data always present with tire temperatures and so on, does not read the weather file txt. P7. Wow, not a bad finish, even if yes, we are classified P7, so no points, but at least I was improving my performance. Anyways, Jackie Stewart winning, Pedro Rodriguez second with the BRM, because McLaren with the McLaren owned team, Jackie Oliver the other Lotus, Jean-Pierre Beltois and Jack Brabham. I was 9 seconds far from points. Second race of the season and championship that becomes, well, very short classification, I would say. Stewart and Rodriguez won both one race. Was Atwood winning a race. Is Rodriguez that arrived maybe second and fourth, yes, second and fourth should be 6 plus 3 points. Anyway, Stewart, Rodriguez, Atwood leaders. Jack Hicks 6, Bruce McLaren 5, 4 Bobby Unser, Jackie Oliver, Danny Hull, Jean-Pierre Beltois, Jack Brabham 1 point. Constructors, VRM 22 points, Matra 9, 7 Bruce McLaren, 6 Scuderia Ferrari, 3 Gold Leaf Team Lotus, but not thanks to myself. Then Team Lotus and Matra Sports and Brabham Racing Organization. Next round, Montecarlo. Race of Montecarlo that I remember Ferrari did not race for safety concern following the fact that 1 year before here Lorenzo Bandini died. So it was only a single year since Lorenzo's passing, and so the modifications required were to have a chicane more tightened, and the race was not anymore 100 laps but was 80 something. Let's start to the qualification lap times, and let's accelerate the qualification session. So Ferrari did not attend amid reports that the team was not happy with the safety standards at the circuit. Team Lotus was there, however, and Graham Hill and Jackie Oliver running the new red and gold livery of Gold Leaf, and the cars featured the first hints of aerodynamic front and rear wings. BRM had been planning to run Briton Chris Irwin, but in the previous sports car race, the 1000 kilometers of the Nürburgring, he had a crash, a terrific one, flipping with the car, and suffered serious head injuries, and he never raced again. So Reg Parnell's racing Richard Atwood was promoted to the works team. Jackie Stewart was still out of action with a worst injury from the Jarama F2 race a month earlier, and so in his place in the Matra International team was present the debutant Johnny Servos Gavin. Jean-Pierre Beltois appeared with the new Matra V12 engine in the back of his Matra Sports entry. Brian Redman was busy racing for the Gulf John Wyer team at the Spa 1000 km sports car. So just to give you an idea of a driver preferring the Spa 1000 km with the Gulf Porsche of John Wyer instead of racing the Monaco GP Formula 1. This gives you absolutely the sense of another world where Formula 1 was not a TV product like it is today, and by many considering the pinnacle of the motorsport, but isn't at all. So the Cooper anyway was raced by the Belgian Lucien Bianchi. Danny Hulme was also being kept busy as he jetted backwards and forwards to Indianapolis qualifying. The pole position in qualifying for Monaco GP was, needless to say, Graham Hill with an impressive Frenchman, Johnny Servos Gavin or Servos Gavin, I don't know the pronunciation, sorry, alongside him on the front row. Here cars were not 3 per row but just 2 per row. The second row featured Joe Siffert and John Surtees in the Honda. 5th and 6th were Jochen Rindt and Atwood. At the start, Servos Gavin or Servos Gavin took the lead, but after 3 laps he suffered a drive shaft failure and crashed. This left Graham Hill in the lead, and there he stayed for the rest of the afternoon. The first few laps saw a number of accidents, with Oliver and McLaren colliding on the first lap, Jochen Rindt crashing on lap 9 while trying to pass John Surtees. Jack Brabham, Dan Gurney and Joe Siffert all went out with mechanical troubles, while Jean-Pierre Beltois broke his suspension running over a curb, and Pierce Courage stopped because his car was handling so badly. John Surtees then disappeared with a gearbox failure, and on the same lap Rodriguez crashed, and so only 5 cars were left by the end of lap 16. As a result, the excitement was limited, although third-placed Danny Hulme stopped in the mid-race, with a drive shaft replacement and dropped to 5th, leaving Julien Bianchi to finish 3rd behind Graham Hill and Atwood, with Ludovico Scarfiotti 4th in the second Cooper BRM. So with qualification did in 3 minutes per lap, wow, by Jack Hicks, second is Joe Siffert, Bruce McLaren, so Ferrari, Brabham, I don't remember, McLaren, Beltois Matra, Servos Gavin Matra, Jack Brabham with a Brabham Racing organization. Lotuses were Jim Clark, not scored a single lap time. The same did Ferraris Amon and Bell, Graham Hill, Jackie Oliver. Okay, we will not start last, I suppose. I will start anyway last, no problem. The race will be held on dry conditions. I have a car setup already prepared with just a lot of wings used and a shorter 5th gear. We will cover 7 laps, so I will start with maybe 10. That's it, wish me luck, 3rd race of the season. Okay, I will leave the others go and do crazy things and crash and whatever, because at the beginning the AI tends to really make mistake after mistake, but if you are patient, sometimes you can sneak inside. Here has happened something really tragic. This is Jackie Stewart. Okay, P9 after 3 corners, not bad, but pure lucky because oops, thank you to Scarfiotti. Raw power for the Ford DF-VV8. It was exclusively used by Lotus team in this season. I don't understand if there is water on track or if it is just smoke. Anyway, lap 1 almost completed, sorry. Safe, P6. Now catching Jack Brabham, but crashing with the guardrail. P5, he was struggling, Black Jack. Another touch. Ooh, good, if they are battling, I can take advantage. Because they are Gavin or Gavin, Siffert, McLaren, and there is a 4th car in front, so maybe we are in the top 5 battling for the win, at least here. So let's stay calm, let's drive properly, because could turn out to be a win if I don't commit mistakes as I usually do, because yes, they are very slow. P4. And yes, We are losing a lot of time. Drag race with Bruce McLaren. Yes, at least we have a bit of advantage now. So if I do not cook the engine, let's try to keep them a bit far, possibly, because if they continue to fight each other, we can have a bit of gap, save a bit of fuel, save a bit of tires. Ooh, too long, almost clinching the chicane barrier. 4 seconds of advantage. A bit long and very slow. Uphill to Massenet, the casino. Have you ever been in Montecarlo? I've been there in 2015 as a quick stop while driving to Le Castellet to see the historic Group C, and not only. What a beautiful venue is Le Castellet. Montecarlo, very nice. I've been there also in 2004 for the MEDP, International Fair for Video Games and producers of accessories and not only games and consoles, etc. I did the walking by night, the layout of the Grand Prix. It's true that you can lock and ring, flipping, sorry. It's true that in Monte Carlo you could maybe walk naked and you get arrested, but if by night you walk with, I don't know, 1,000 euros, what are you doing, Giovanni? 1,000 euros in your pocket with the attitude to show your money, nobody will tell you anything. But apart from this, it is a very safe city. It is very nice. I mean, it is, if you live there, I don't know, but as a tourist, once in a lifetime. But what scared me is the level of up and downhill percentage of climbing and descending, because the Massenet uphill section by feet, by walking, I mean, I am a runner, so I'm not, let's say, defective from a legs point of view, but really, believe me, it's steep like this. So if you have the opportunity once in a lifetime, maybe try to walk what is good. They were blocking the corner. Come on, you are overlapped. Oh. So this Massenet uphill section is very steep, as I was saying, sorry. Absolutely incredible. I don't care about the big cars parked here in front of the casino. I mean, they are GT cars, but I do prefer to see during their race stream Sundays. Not bad the part here, also under the tunnel, because you can walk very easily also. Within the tunnel. But for the rest, for racing is absolutely a silly solution in my opinion. But while I was talking, guys, we are winning the Monaco Grand Prix. I cannot believe it. Maybe. Because it's lap 7 out of 7. And the race is not over. Why? One more lap. Maybe this one is the last lap, sorry. I was sleeping and talking. Ah yes, here we are. Wow! The AI sometimes is very crazy, so take the game not as a full simulator but as a Formula 1 game, okay? So we can maybe escape, confirm our victory. Ooh, the first of the season in the most important race of the year. So here we are with our Lotus first, Jackie X Ferrari second, Bruce McLaren third, Jim Clark fourth, Johnny Servogaven or Servosgaven Matra, Chris Amon, Scuderia Ferrari. Points X, sorry, this is the already updated classification, so X12, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers with 9 points, Bobby Anser 4, then wow. And cars, Ferrari, Lotus, Matra, McLaren, BRM. Okay. Teams, BRM at the top, Team Lotus, green British one with Jackie X, with Jim Clark, Ferrari, and Gold Leaf, Matra, and Bruce McLaren Motor Racing. 11 points dividing 1, 2, 3, 6 teams. Good. Next race, Spa-Francorchamps in the old, beautiful, long version. And going back to read the history, Formula 1 arrived at the fastest circuit of the year, the notoriously dangerous and challenging 14 kilometers Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. Chris Amon took the pole position at an average speed of more than 240 kilometers per hour, considering that nowadays the Italian GP at Monza runs around 250 kilometers per hour as an average. But this time, around this unprotected rural road circuit, an incredible average speed by even today's standards. So let's go to the qualification here. Yes, let's go on top. Let's just look to lap times. The appearance of wings on the Lotus at Monaco did not go unnoticed, and for this race various teams arrived with experimental wings on their cars. Ferrari was back in action, having missed Monaco, and entered 2 cars for Chris Amon and Jackie X. How different was you could miss some races, but for sure you were not missing a sports car race, classic, endurance. Sunday, Jackie Stewart also was back in action for Ken Tyrrell's Matra International team, and Lucien Bianchi stayed with the Cooper BRM team, replacing Ludovico Scarfiotti, as the Italian was committed to racing the European Hill Climb Championship event at Rosfeld in the southern Germany part in a Porsche 908. Unluckily, he died in that race. American Dan Gurney and Kiwi Denny Hulme had flown back from Indianapolis, having finished second and fourth in the race. Chris Amon was fastest in practice on Friday, with Jackie Stewart and Jack Hicks alongside him on the front row. Then came John Surtees in the Honda, and Denny Hulme with Bruce McLaren, Pierce Courage and Pedro Rodriguez sharing the third row. Both Lotus drivers had troubles and were on the penultimate row of the grid. Saturday was completely ruined by rain and by the news from Rosfeld that Ludovico Scarfiotti had been killed. The Italian Scarfiotti was the third Grand Prix driver to die in 2 months. This was turning into the bloodiest year in the history of Grand Prix racing since its origins in the 1900s. Race day was dull and overcast, and at the start Amon took the lead with Jack Hicks, Surtees and Hulme chasing him. By the end of the second lap, John Surtees had taken the lead. There were a rush of retirements early on, with Hill, Richard Atwood, Brabham and Jochen Rindt all going out with mechanical troubles. On the 7th lap, Briton Brian Redban went out when his suspension failed near Les Combes, and he crashed into a concrete barrier and then went over the barrier and into a parked Ford Cortina road car. The Cooper caught fire, but Brian Redban escaped with a badly broken right arm and a few minor burns, and he did not race for most of that year. Soon afterwards, Chris Amon went out with a radiator problem, and then the leader Surtees disappeared when his suspension failed. This left Denny Hulme in the lead, but he was quickly overtaken by Stewart, and the two diced until Hulme slowed with a driveshaft problem. This left Jackie Stewart half a minute clear of McLaren, but on the penultimate lap the Matra Ford driver ran out of petrol and dropped behind McLaren, Rodriguez and Jack Hicks. This was the first McLaren ever F1 victory, and Bruce McLaren's first championship Grand Prix victory since 1962 Monaco Grand Prix. 6 years of absence for the great Bruce McLaren from the top spot on the podium. Here instead we have Pierce Courage, then Rodriguez, Atwood, Bobby Unser, BRM, Hicks, Amon, Bell, Scuderia Ferrari. The first Lotus is Jackie Oliver, 8th. I think here the raw power will be the most important thing, so maybe we can look at the race with dry conditions. Good. I would load the already average car setup prepared for this race. That will be a 3 laps and with the maximum fuel on board, but I wanted to, yes, not have the maximum rear wing. Good. Soft compound, we can go. Okay, another downhill race start with Graham Hill downhill. So you push the brake and you use the accelerator, maybe better than me. And then it's race day, so you have to try to win and to score points. For Rouge Radillon, not full throttle like today. Then the Kemmel Straight nowadays is very known, well known. Back then it was a long rural trip around the Ardennes. How do you say Ardennes in English? Ardennes? I don't know. Then full throttle. Approaching the second part of Spa-Francorchamps. No protections, as you can see. just raw speed. When it was raining was basically like Le Mans, public roads rented for a Formula 1 race. Okay, maybe here we can keep the car decently placed, a bit out of ideal line. Marco, again. Full throttle for the last part, if I stop to touch the trackside area, slowing down the car, and the steering wheel is already not straight anymore. Sartis passed. P21, wow. Just lifting a bit. Beltois, Pescarolo, Hobbs passed maybe before the corner. Yes, I do not remember the old name, sorry. Don't touch the grass, Marco. Idiot. And La Source on the left also, the beautiful old Hotel La Source that maybe has been moved, if I'm not wrong, in recent years in the 90s. Fifth gear missed. What a rookie. Hey, Blackjack. I will not score points, but with the virtual Jack Brabham, having this duel is absolutely making my day. Monaco, remember the next part of the track you have to reduce your speed. Here. Bravo. Now the next section will be mandatory to reduce the speed again, Marco, remember. Here. No, wrong. The next corner. Bravo. Again. Don't touch the grass. It's not your grass. Or the sand or whatever. No retirements today. Many silly attitudes sometimes to create a dangerous situation, to lose the control of the car instead of driving smoothly and precisely. Slipstream. Maybe get the slipstream. Yes. No, I cannot pass my idol Derek Bell here at Spa. In fact, I don't pass him. Was too much maybe, but here we go again. Slipstream, a bit of more raw power for the Ford BFV V8 exclusively licensed to Lotus. The draft, the slipstream, the draft. I can smell the draft. Understeer. Fourth gear without using the clutch. Do not lose time and handling, maybe. The slipstream. I feel it. I smell it. Yes. Almost lost the car. Thank you to the force feedback of thrustmaster. No. Come on. P15 en jag kan rindet. while Atwood, Rodriguez, Courage, Bobby Answer top 4. Stay there, stay there, stay there. Too much understeer. Who is 5th? We don't know. Let's try dive bomb. Oops. I killed the Rindt. And it's also P14 because there was the retirement of Dan Gurney. Yes, maybe, yes. Anyway, Atwood, Rodriguez, Courage, Bobby Answer, Jackie X, Lotus not scoring point this time, Clark 9th, Graham Hill 14th. Wow, difficult to race here. I mean, I got 1 minute in 3 laps. So new updated classification: Atwood 18, Rodriguez 15, Jackie X 14th, as together with Stewart and Bruce McLaren 9, 7 points, Bobby Answer and the rest of the field. Teams. So we don't see with this mod a dominant Lotus season, even if we combine the old Jim Clark first race Team Lotus British Green together with the normal Gold Leaf Team Lotus, would be 27 points, so a second force in the championship. Zandvoort, let's go, in the Netherlands. 6th race of this episode, because I'm recording almost, no sorry, 5th episode, because I'm recording almost for 2 hours in this moment. I think I will stop the episode, the part 1 here. The part 2 will get all the rest of the races without the long introduction. Let's go to face immediately qualification. Dry condition, dry condition, dry condition, dry condition. Let's go to see the lap time. Voila! So the traditional home for the Dutch Grand Prix was the fast beachside Zandvoort circuit near Amsterdam. The Brabham team had its new Repco V8 engine ready and was running a third car for Dan Gurney, who hadn't a Westlake engines available for his Eagle. Cooper ran only one car for Lucien Bianchi, following the death of Scarfiotti and Brian Redman's accident at Spa a fortnight earlier. In qualifying, Chris Amon was the fastest in his Ferrari, with Jochen Rindt's Brabham and Graham Hill Lotus sharing the front row. Jack Brabham was on the second row with Jackie Stewart, while the third row featured Belgian Jackie X, Danny Hulme and McLaren. The weather was bad all weekend and it was raining lightly at the start. Jochen Rindt took the lead, but he was in third place by the end of the first lap behind Hill and Stewart. The rain intensified and on lap 4 Stewart moved into the lead. He quickly built up a big lead, while Graham Hill came under pressure from Beltois, who had moved quickly through the midfield. On lap 23, Beltois went off and had to pit to clear his throttle of sand, and so he dropped back to 7th. When he rejoined, he quickly moved up the field, passing Gurney, X, Amon and Rodriguez to get to 3rd place. On lap 50, he overtook Hill for 2nd place. On lap 61, Hill had a spin and dropped to 4th behind Rodriguez. On lap 82, he did it again, but this time had to retire. Jackie Stewart won his first Grand Prix for more than 2 years from Beltois to give Matra Chassis a 1-2 result, with Rodriguez 3rd for BRM. X was 4th for Ferrari, while the Swiss Silvio Moser survived to finish 5th in his private Brabham, although he was 3 laps behind the winner. That's it for the historic part. Let's go to see warm up and race in dry condition. Very good. 8 laps to cover, so we can load the car setup, maybe reduce a bit the fuel down to 10, and we can go on track. Names, first gear, I don't see the green flag. I almost stalled the car, sorry. Ooh, another early crash. Sorry. Understeer. My goodness, the car doesn't corner as it should. Maybe I should refine the car setup for each race, but it would take ages to have everything perfectly in place to win every race. Missed the clutch. No, I don't understand very much some corners, not the corners themselves, but the behavior of the car. So P21, sadly, okay, half of the race, P21, no retirements, so no points also today. Struggling quite a lot to have a decent pace. the car goes here and there where she likes, and sometimes it's thank you Windows. My goodness, today. Oops, again, P19 anyway, there were some retirements obviously, and with those, the one kicking me off before is retired, nothing personal. I must say, given my poor performance, that Zandvoort old version is not a racetrack for children. I must say, with my low level of performance, Zandvoort is not a racetrack for children. Indeed. Pescarolo out, P18. 2 laps to go, but I fear I will be also overlapped very soon because I have an indecent pace. I don't understand if I'm not able to make the car do what she should do, or really the AI level is absolutely uncatchable here. Why penalty? For not letting through the leader. So I will be disqualified. I talk about penalty because from the previous appointment I did learn that on the top left corner there is a traffic light meaning stop and go. And incredibly or not, in the cool down lap the leaders are anyway quicker than me. Incredible. I'm so scarce. I'm the Takinoue of the 60s. Sorry for the performance and I apologize with Takinoue, but this is what I get. Oh my goodness. So, with an indecent performance, I will give up on myself. Chris Amon first Ferrari, Jim Clark Lotus, Denny Hunt McLaren, Bell X Ferrari, Seifert, Rob Walker, Jack Durlacher Racing, don't ask me which car was. New classification, Atwood 18X16, Rodriguez 15, Amon 11, Graham Hill 9 as Stewart, McLaren, Clark 9. I mean, if I would be more consistent, maybe I would be world champion. Anyway, I will accept this classification. Constructors Championship is BRM, Scuderia Ferrari, Lotus, McLaren, Goldleaf Official Works Team, Matra 11 points. Let's accept the next one, the race number 6 in France on the Rouen des Essarts, my franchising guys, race. So we will have France, the GP of France here, Britain at Silverstone, Germany on the Nürburgring. I hate the track, I don't know the track basically, never raced apart from maybe Gran Turismo 6, don't know. Monza, then Canada, Mosport Park, never seen. United States maybe will be Watkins Glen, and last race Mexico City on the Circuito Pedro and Ricardo Rodriguez. So if you don't mind, I will leave you here with the part 1, because if it is 2 hours of recordings plus the possible editing that I can do, but anyway will be almost a 2 hours episode, despite we are racing 10% of each race, so it takes ages. I can cut, copy and paste some sections, but that's it. And so this is why I've started the season with a 10% race duration. So I will stop here. I will record all the replays to combine every race with a TV style view possibility, watching possibility, and we will see each other in the part 2. Maybe I will record it tomorrow or maybe tonight, I don't know when, but I will do it, I promise. And then we can complete also the 68th season. Up to this point, thank you very much. Absolutely, you make me proud of running a YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Please do not stop to vote for the polls. They will be closed basically in the next days, in the first week of May, under the community page of iKeysRacing channel, our channel. And see you very soon with something else for sure. As said, I will introduce more often the rain condition also for GTR2, Power and Glory and so on. We will try to have a more exciting content of races, more similar to the real life. You have seen here the rain effect was not bad. I still have to test it with the said GTR2, Power and Glory and the other simulators we are running, apart from IndyCar that running on ovals will not happen. IndyCar, that will be maybe the next episode, because you voted to go back to race and start the 98th season of the IRL. That's it. Thank you very much for everything, for watching, for subscribing, for voting, for pushing the like button. Please, 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 please continue to do it, so we will grow very quickly. And the best wishes to you all, and see you in the next appointment that I don't know when it will happen. But that's it for the moment. So thank you very much again. Arigato, dankeschön, merci beaucoup, muchas gracias, grazie. Have a wonderful week, stay very well, see you very soon on iKeysRacing channel, and remember to stay into keen racing. That's it. Ciao, thank you very much, see you soon. Bye. End of part 1 of this episode number 3 for 1968 Formula 1 season using Formula 1 Challenge Valerio Bertolotti edition. Ciao. I sound like an entertainer, no. An entrepreneur, no. Ciao, bye bye. Ciao.